Hello, everybody. I am Vicki Palmer, AURP CEO, and delighted to be with you today on Pie Day. Everybody share their favorite pie selection or number in the chat. And I again thank you for all for being here today. So I have Karyn Damschen with Damschen Financial Planning here with me today, and I've known Karyn for almost 11 years now, and we met each other in a rollable time for me. A lot was going on in my own life, and uh, needed support really with really establishing a lot of policies and health insurance for AURP during a time of transition. And what grew into, started as really a business transaction, grew to a lot of trust and support from Karyn. So I really always thank her for the business side. But as that relationship has evolved over time, she's become a trusted financial advisor as well, and really during some transitions and really crisis time in my family, which I know many people know of, really has set me into a really financially stable and goal setting and plans that really are supporting me now and into my future. And I think one of the things that I've learned from Karyn, among many, is that while you're really planning for your future, you really should be taking care of yourself now. And those short-term goals of really, finding and supporting your passions, your hobbies, and really being smart about where you're putting your money now and in your future has really been really invaluable for me. So I really thank Karyn for her time today and sharing her wisdom as always. I always learn something new from her every time we get together. So thank you, Karyn. I appreciate you being with us today and sharing a little bit of tips in this crazy roller coaster that we're in.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to be here. Really excited to be with you ladies. So, as Vicki said, I am a financial advisor, and I have a practice that is heavily focused on women and the men who love them. That's the way I like to phrase it. Lots of my clients are married, but my practice is very inclusive. So it really, as I've discovered in my decade plus of working in this industry, not everybody feels safe kind of walking into a financial advisor's office, and women especially, because we so often need to be mansplained to, that we're kind of pushed off to the side, or you don't need to worry about that. Your husband will take care of everything. So I'm really kind of on this mission to create a space where everybody can feel heard and included and empowered with their financial picture, regardless of where they are in life. So it is my honor to get to work with amazing people like Vicki and AURP and the clients that have come in to bless my world. So I feel very fortunate every day. Yeah. So you want me to just,
thank you. Just jump on in. Yeah, I'd love to hear what you have to share.
So I know when the email went out with the kind of words appear to be hard today, with the little bio about me, Vicki also mentioned in there that I produced a movie called The Psychology of Retirement. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today too. It's really fantastic, and I can hook you guys up with a way to see that if you'd like to. So make sure you reach out to me. So I am born and raised in Tucson, Arizona, and very deeply involved in my community. I love being here. And really, I've run my own businesses since I was 6. And it's funny because I was having this conversation with my son just the other day. And he said, "What do you mean since you were 6?" And I said, "Well, I started selling Girl Scout cookies when I was 6.
Right.
Right. And so I think for a lot of us, that's kind of where we start. If you were a Girl Scout and you sold cookies, or you were in 4-H or sold candy bars to finance your soccer trip or whatever it may have been, right? That we kind of start that entrepreneur mind at a pretty young age. And what we don't ever get taught is kind of how to take care of ourselves, how to take care of our futures. And so that's part of my mission too. So my practice is very focused on getting people to and through retirement. So most of the folks I work with are my age or older. So, 30-ish and up. And at my age.
I'm one of the older.
So, and it really is an honor to be able to help people prepare for their future and walk them through their retirement as they go, right? To be that kind of co-author of what this plan is.
Mhm.
So I firmly believe everybody needs a damn plan, right? And that is what we call it in our office. It's a damn plan, and that is what you need. So if you wake up this morning and you say, hey, I want to be at a beach, you can get in your car and you can start driving. And you might end up at a beach eventually.
Yep.
But if you say, I want to go to the beach in San Diego, you now have a way of pointing your car in the right direction to go to that beach. And that's kind of how I see planning. Now, are there different roads you can take to get to the beach? Absolutely. Right? Can you take back roads? Can you take mountain roads? Can you go way up and way back down? Of course you can. But you're kind of focused on a point. So my job is really to help people determine what their goals are, to kind of open that up inside of you and what you want that future to look like. And then how do we get there? What are the right tools, the right strategies for us to be able to get there? So I know we've talked a little bit about pi being a totally irrational number, right? And it is. Pi is a very irrational number and never ends. Feels like my housework. So I think there is a difference between being emotional and being rational, and then being reasonable. Right. So as women especially, I think we are often told, oh, you're overreacting or you're being irrational, right? When we're just simply voicing our thoughts and feelings. But so there are times when I ask people to feel emotional about their finances, because at the end of the day, we all have an emotional connection to money. And everybody sees it through a different lens. And because of the way you were brought up, whatever those stories were that were put in your head about money, we all see it differently. And that makes us feel different about it. So if you have a piece of paper, I'd like you to just write down what money means to you. What does money mean to you? I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds. We don't have a huge crowd on here, so I'll ask for a little bit of interaction. But it's a place that I like to start because I think it's important to start there when we start thinking about planning. And whenever one of you is ready to share, if you're willing to, share what money means to you. I'm not hearing you.
Vicky, it looks like you're.
I think your headphones died.
Well, while she's figuring that out, I can go.
Sure.
And thank you for being here with us. So money means, for me, it means comfort and access to happiness. And there's a lot in
Mm.
like in that happiness piece. Like teaching my children or preparing them for some type of generational wealth, but also um, my ideal retirement is to do what I want to do when I want to do it.
Oh, nice. That's nice.
Yeah, love that. And what would that be?
Mostly travel, probably.
Where would you
And
go?
ooh, where have I not been? We have a list. Um,
Is it written?
yes, actually.
Excellent.
But my son wrote it, so he gets very exotic. No, Vicky,
Hey,
it's a good list. It's got like Dubai, Hong Kong, Phuket. Yeah.
very
Mhm.
nice.
That's nice.
Very nice.
Hence, I need the monies.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
And
Does anybody
especially
else
since your
want to share?
son, can
What's
you hear
that?
me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I was going to say, especially since your son added himself on your list.
We
I
kind
think
of
you're
created
traveling
it
with him.
together. We enjoy traveling as a family. Of like maybe 7 years ago, we decided that was gonna be our thing, like mostly like for Christmas and stuff like that,
Mhm.
instead of just getting quote unquote stuff.
Yeah,
We just try to travel.
love
Yeah,
that.
that's good.
Who
Okay, so
else wants?
mine, if you can hear me now, sorry, I dropped
Yeah,
my earbud.
yes.
That's why. It obviously was the mic part. Um, Mine is security and freedom.
Mm,
Security, to make my own decisions,
Hmm.
freedom to again make some of those decisions that I have made over the last couple of years. So because I didn't have that for a number of years when Ron was sick, a lot of instability. So that provides security.
yeah.
I like that freedom. I'm gonna change mine
Yeah,
access to
yeah,
freedom. Mhm.
How about you, Diana?
yeah,
Um, I think security is probably like a big
yeah.
one. But also kind of in being like having fun and independence as well. I
Mhm.
think
Mhm.
um, I've been living on my own now for a long time, and there's something really that it's something that I actually really love, that I've had that time to kind of being able to be alone, living alone and having my own life. And I think like, my mom was a single mom, and so kind of growing up with having to kind of rely on other people in our family for certain things, or to try and uh we purposefully limiting things just because we couldn't really afford it, or it would just be a little bit too much. And so, but being able to have that kind of independent and being able to have fun while also feeling secure in my finances is something that I'm
Mhm.
so happy that I can finally just kind of live that now, um rather than kind of sacrificing fun and independency just to try and feel secure. So I
Right.
feel good that I'm finally in that goal now of my
Good
life.
Yeah.
But it
job.
obviously took a while to get there. So
Yeah.
Mhm. Right.
How about you, Shelby?
I also had freedom and independence. Um, Still just being young and being not fully having the independence that like would be ideal, having knowing the financial ways to get there is very important step for me.
Yeah, yeah. That's fantastic. And so
Yeah.
I will say when I do this exercise with women, and I do it quite often, um, freedom and security are two that come up. Probably third is travel. And then that independence, we hear a lot from younger folks, right? So these tend to be the things that are most important. When I do that exercise in a mixed room, I tend to hear a lot of men who will pipe up and say things like, I'm going to buy a speedboat or a, hunting cabin or whatever it may be. So it's a very different way that we look at money. And for women especially, it is the sense of security and independence and freedom that kind of sits in that emotional core for us. So Morgan Housel is a best-selling New York Times author. He wrote this fabulous book called The Psychology of Money. And he is also the guy that worked on the film that I produced this summer called The Psychology of Retirement. And he's not a financial advisor, he's not a money guy, but he is fascinated with the way we consume and the psychology behind that, right? So he's got a great quote in this book. And he says, do not aim to be coldly rational when making financial decisions. Aim to be just pretty reasonable. Reasonable is more realistic, and you have a better chance of sticking with it for the long run, which is what matters most when managing money or a marriage, right? So it is that idea of kind of the irrationality of the number pi, right? And how we tend to sometimes see money in that irrational way versus being reasonable about it, right? And so that's what I would challenge all of you to kind of think about. And I think there are a few ways you can look at it. So when I'm building your DAMM plan, one of the first things I'm going to pay attention to is your foundation. To me, that is the most important. So if you have your piece of paper and you draw a rectangle on the bottom of it, that's going to be your foundation. And into that foundation, we are going to put safety and security, where we know if our car breaks down, we're okay, right? If we have to get a new AC in the next 1 to 2 years, we know that we're okay to do that. That our savings plan, our foundation, our security there is not predicated on whether we have enough room on our credit cards. Okay. Yeah. So what I build in this plan, I call it your fiscal house. So we're going to start with that foundation. And if you're building a house, you want that foundation to be strong. So typically this is where we're going to tuck 6 months worth of living expenses, right? Make sure that we have that tucked away in the bank. This is going to be money that is accessible and liquid to us when we need it. That being said, that does not mean that I believe it should be in a mayonnaise jar in your house or should be in a bank account earning 0.01% interest, right? There are high yield savings accounts we can use. There are strategies where we can ladder CDs every few months so that we have a chunk of money that comes available, right? So we can still make a little money on this, but this isn't money that we're trying to be ballers in the market with, right? So then if you draw your walls up above your foundation, this is going to create the home that you live in. And what I believe is most important in this fiscal house is this interior portion, right? This is going to be your income. Whatever it is that you need to be able to live the lifestyle you want to live, whether it's today, whether it's a year from now, whether it's 30 years from now. What is that lifestyle going to look like? Because I think you will all agree that your income dictates your lifestyle, right? Mm-hmm. If you want to drive a Ferrari, you're probably not able to do it on a minimum wage income, right? There's a disparity there. So on a minimum wage income, you're driving the whoop-dee, right? So we want to make sure that we're focused on whatever that income is that we need to maintain the lifestyle. And there are various ways that we do that, whether it's through conservative investment strategies, whether it's through different financial tools that are meant to help us meet that income. Today, you ladies are all working, and that's what's kind of feeding that central portion of your house. But as we plan for the future and plan for your retirement, we need to look at what you need for income in an inflation adjusted budget, Okay, so it's not just what are eggs today at $9.99. God only knows, right? They're going to be $150 a dozen in 20 years. So making sure that you've got a way of running out an inflation adjusted budget for the time when you're going to be retiring. Now, the things inside that house, you can paint your walls and you can change the tile on your floors, right? There are lots of things that can be flexible and fluid inside that home, but we want to make sure that we're protecting income at all costs. And this is why even putting policies in place. Some people, legacy is really important. We want to make sure the kids are taken care of, especially if they're still in school or very young, those kinds of things. So do you have an insurance policy that's in place to be able to take care of that should you pass away? Those kinds of things. And then on the top, we can draw our little roof, right? Now in the roof, this is the money that we're going to use for growth. Right? And so you can see today, you probably have 6 months worth of living expenses in your foundation. You have your regular income coming in from your job that can go in your income bucket. And then you're saving in an employer 401k, or you're saving into an IRA or a Roth or a savings account, whatever you're doing with that money. That roof portion is intended for growth. And today, while you're still working, your roof can be much larger than somebody who's getting ready to retire, right? As you get ready to retire, we want that inside income portion to be bigger and your roof to be a little bit smaller. But within that roof portion, this is where we need the growth of the markets. We need the money to outpace inflation. Right? Warren Buffett with his very famous just buy and hold strategies. So as we think about how we're allocating kind of our income, there's the old adage of save 10% of your paycheck, right? And you'll be able to retire with $1 million. And then the 4% rule, where you can take 4% of your money out every year and you'll never run out of money. And none of those rules are true anymore. None of them work. But within that roof portion, we can go for the growth. This is where I want you to participate in the markets. I want you to take the risks. Even now, markets do what markets do, right? So up in that growth section, as you continue working, you can withstand some storms. We can have a big old windstorm come through and you can lose a couple shingles. You're still okay. Right? You still got your income, you still got your foundation, right? Your whole roof could blow off. And as long as you have time to put a new roof on, you're going to be fine. So as we talk about irrational versus rational or reasonable, right? Looking at those numbers that can be reasonable. I think probably saving more than 10% is necessary moving forward. In my opinion, we face some huge financial risks coming up, the largest of which I believe is our legislative risk. So not a one of us has any control over what's happening in Washington. And at some point, some very difficult decisions are going to be made about programs like Social Security, like Medicare, that are going to end up costing your bottom line some money. So those are some things that I think if you just want a simple framework to look at a way to put a reasonable plan in place, think about what all those numbers are for you, and then just start moving towards them. Maybe it's opening up a bank account at a high yield with a high yield savings account at a bank like Ally Bank or Capital One Bank, right? And just taking X amount of dollars out of every paycheck that just starts getting saved. And from there, moving into an investment strategy. Statistically, people who work with financial advisors have a much better shot moving through retirement than people who don't. I'll say that just for my industry, the statistics definitely are there. So I encourage you to reach out. If you don't have somebody that you already work with, find someone you feel super comfortable with, that you can ask questions. There are no stupid questions, right? So I know we're at time, and I want to be really respectful of people's time. Half hour is not enough, for sure. We can't hear you, Vicki.
I know I was on mute.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Well, you didn't answer some of the question I did have for you is with the volatile market that we're in, what would be some, there's the stock market, there's bonds, real estate. Is there any recommendations for individuals, if they do have the money to invest or what is some strategies that people can consider right now?
Yeah, so
And when I say people, I mean me.
so the markets are gonna be volatile. We know markets don't like change. And what we have going on in Washington right now is somebody throwing a whole lot of spaghetti at a wall and seeing what sticks, right? Everything's kind of getting shaken up. So, but I believe in the markets, and I believe we need to be there. There absolutely could be a recession looming. We are going to see corrections, and historically, markets run in kind of 10-year cycles, right? So if you are 5 years away from retirement, you probably want to be a little more conservative with the money you're investing in the stock market. But if I'm in my 30s, 40s, even 50s today, I'm still good to be fairly aggressive in the stock market. Maybe crypto isn't where I want to play, right? Because I maybe feel like I don't know enough about it or those kinds of things. But as far as being in a well-diversified stock portfolio that meets your kind of risk tolerance, absolutely, you can be there. Things like real estate tend to be much longer strategies. I'm a big fan of real estate as a piece of an investment portfolio, but that's more of a long term, right? We're not going to buy a house today and sell it in 6 months and make the money, right?
Right.
So I think there are lots of different investments you can look at, but be very cognizant of where you are and what your risk tolerance is.
That's good.
Yeah.
Really good.
And women in general, we just face some risks that men don't face, right? We're more likely to step out of the workforce and take care of children, take care of aging parents, which is going to hit our Social Security, right? Fastest growing segment of divorce in this country is 60 plus. So definitely some things to be aware of as you're pulling together your own DAMM plan.
Right. Yeah. And that was one of the things I learned is that besides financially, just the way that your policies are set up, anything from your utilities to cars to your insurance, things like that, really protecting yourself because you never know what your future holds, whether it is divorce or illness or any of those things. So setting up things for success for yourself in the long term is really important.
And if you don't have a really good idea of where your money's going, get on that first.
Right.
If you feel like my expenses are $3,000 a month, but I make $5,000 a month, but I feel like I never have any extra money to save, there's a disconnect.
Right.
So get a handle on those expenses first and know where your money's going. Respect that money and it will respect you in return.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
any other questions or? Well, I appreciate your time today. Yeah, I can't wait to see the movie. I haven't seen the movie and look forward to seeing that. And
of course,
it's always a pleasure.
Thank you. I've got some great pieces. If you guys would like me to send you a piece on 10 to empower women investors or designing your fiscal house or any other information, if you want a sheet to work on a budget with, send me an email and we'll put a little packet together for you and send it out for sure.
That sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karyn. I always learn
Thank you.
something new, as I
Of
said. So
course.
thank you so much.
Thank you. It was great to see all you ladies.
Yeah, thanks for being here today, everybody. Have a good day, and we'll have some more pop-up opportunities in the future. So stay in tune. Thank you.